So today I want to talk about tarot and angel and oracle cards and what the difference is and why they do different jobs and what the crossovers are, because there are some crossovers. And this came up again at the NEC when I had my stand up Mind, Body, Spirit, and we were getting people coming up to the stand saying things like, oh no, I don't want to use tarot, I only use angel cards. And one woman actually said, no, I don't want tarot, I'm fine with the angels, thank you very much. And that's fine, that's all okay, but there's a couple of misconceptions going on there that I thought would be quite fun and interesting to talk about. Now, that's not to say that I don't think using angel and oracle cards is useful or in fact fun or whatever, because it is. And in fact, a few weeks ago on my live alongside tarot, I was drawing cards from this deck, which is the Energetic Oracle deck by Yolanda Williams. She sent me her Oracle deck as an experimentation. And so I was drawing two cards, one from the tarot, one from the Oracle deck, and they gave different information. It was really quite interesting. And so what the tarot was doing, the tarot was giving very practical information and was quite down to earth. And the Oracle deck, though, was giving a different but equally useful, supportive perspective. So it was perhaps a little bit more broad-based. So it wasn't as boots on the ground as tarot, but nevertheless it was still useful and interesting, and they worked together really well. But they did have different voices, and I think that was the most interesting part of the whole thing. So what is the difference? So what is an oracle deck? Because an angel deck and an oracle deck, they're the same thing. They are an oracle. What is an oracle? An oracle is something that you consult that will give you a piece of information, and it is a standalone piece of information that is just there. You can draw a card on an oracle deck and that will give you a message normally from the book. You don't normally learn it as a system. You consult the book and the book will tell you, and that's fine and all very simple and all good. It's lovely. It is never, as far as in my experience, challenging. So it doesn't ever disrupt your energy. It will support it, it will help guide it, it will affirm, it will be all the good stuff. But in my experience, it very rarely or almost never goes into conflict with you or challenges you in any serious way. So we have that. Now we can use tarot as an oracle deck as well. Of course we can. We have 78 individual cards and we can use them as an oracle, and that's fine. And so tarot will give its perspective, and there are some challenging cards in the tarot which we can use as an oracle. What would happen in the tarot if we got a card like the Ten of Swords, which you would never get in an angel deck or an oracle deck? I don't think. I mean, there are people who are going to shout at me and go, yes, there are, Janis, there are. This is in my deck. Well, that's all fine. No problem at all. So what happens when we get one of those cards? What we do is we read it, of course, with its most positive intent. So we would read something like the Ten of Swords as saying, you really need to get out of your head. You really need to stop taking things so personally, perhaps, and actually start looking at how perhaps the way you're thinking is making the situation worse. And if we step back and we think differently about the situation, then we'll get some different perspectives, and we can calm things down, and then we can start again and rebuild. So if we look at it, we're not going to look at it as being like somebody shouting at us from the sidelines and saying, terrible things are going to happen. That's not what it's about. It's asking you to review your approach in some way. And again, if we have a card like the Tower, which we see as obviously a very difficult card, the Tower would also say that on some level, you're going to have to do a major rethink. We're going to have to look at the truth of a situation and really make some proper decisions as to how we're going to move forward. Because when the Tower comes into play, it's telling us that whatever assumptions we've been making about the way things are going to move forward probably isn't going to pan out. And so we can use those, we take the absolute positive message of the card, which we would do anyway in a reading, because all of tarot wants to help. Even when it looks like we've got challenging cards, no bad cards, because the cards are only referring to something that needs your attention and that needs a bit of a spanner under the hood to get things working properly again. So it's normally a one card hit. Okay, so why and how is tarot different from that? And what about this thing of, well, you know, I'm happy with the angels, thank you very much. Well, I get that because it feels very non-threatening. And in tarot, who are you talking to? So with an angel deck, that's already been decided for you. Okay, you're talking to the angels. That's fine. I think you're talking to the angels anyway. I don't think there is any confusion over that. You set your attention that you're going to be connecting with an energetic situation which is going to be to your highest good. You'd never set your attention to connect to anything other than an angelic energy, would you? You're going to connect to your higher self, maybe? Maybe you're going to connect to your team of guides, maybe? Whatever it is, you're certainly not going to suggest that you connect to any malevolent forces out there which may not have your best your best energy at their core. And the thing is that even if you deal with angel cards, you know, it's all energetic. It's all energetic entities that you are connecting with. We assume the term angel always means something positive. The devil in that world, right? I don't believe there is a devil. I don't believe in that at all. But the devil archetype was an angel, is an angel. And when I was learning tarot, we termed the devil the earth angel. And the earth angel is the angel of earthly things who will promise you everything you want. It will be short term and it won't lead anywhere. And it will probably get you stuck. And then you will have to backtrack. And you will have to basically go back to the beginning and start again, which is the Tower. When you realize that actually those gifts don't work because they're not going to take you higher. You're only going to remain in that sort of very basic vibration of want. But still, the devil is an angel. My point is, I suppose, that whatever deck we use, we need to decide ahead of the game who we are connecting with. And it's no different with tarot, and it's no different with an oracle deck. Our predetermined intention is that we're going to connect with something positive for our highest good, for our highest happiness, and for the good of all concerned. And if we're drawing cards and we're not making those decisions ahead of the game, and we're not drawing cards with intent, well, that's probably not good practice. So we need to be doing that anyway. That's just baseline, proper, good reading hygiene. So tarot. What about tarot? So tarot is different from oracle cards and angel cards because there is a system in place. It's not 78 individual cards. So what we're doing when we're consulting tarot is we're consulting on a path of potential. Whatever single cards we take, we're looking at the potential that is in and of the moment, on the day, for now, right? But when we're doing a reading, what we do is we can extrapolate that out, and tarot gives us a progression which allows us to read potentials further down the path. That has been termed fortune telling. What you're actually doing though is you're reading potentials. And so what that can do is it can tell us our next couple of steps. One of the stories in tarot is the story of the hermit. And the hermit is guided by the star. The star is the light of your faith, your hope, your connection to the high priestess. You're guided by your connection to spirit. You just know. You don't need anybody else's say-so. You just know you can do this yourself. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it does. But, we have to be true to ourselves. This is the story of the hermit. The hermit doesn't follow. The hermit leads. People catch up if they wish. If not, it's absolutely fine. What is important about the hermit is the hermit, lit by the lantern, can only see 2 steps ahead. So tarot is actually telling us not to look too far down the path. It's actually telling us with that little story that actually it's only useful to you to see 2 steps ahead, because then you can just plan your next 2 moves. When you look too far ahead, you're caught in the headlights. You start to go into quite difficult places in your head, and also you're not living and dealing with now. So that's a very useful and interesting piece of information that is one of the tarot stories that we can engage with. And then tarot can tell us what the next 2 steps are, because whatever that card is, the next 2 steps will be your next 2 steps. And that's really, really useful for you. You can go, okay, all right, I see that, I can do that, that's good. It's practical, it's really practical. Now, angel cards and oracle cards don't do that. They're not as explicit, they're not as practical as tarot's instruction manual is. So when we look at them, they do different jobs. They're almost like cousins. They have slightly different personalities. They share a DNA. They're on different branches. And we can use them side by side very nicely. But they don't have to be either or. And I would say that if you're not using tarot as well, it's entirely up to you. But if you're not using tarot as well, maybe you're missing a trick, because it's so incredibly useful. Now, again, with tarot, what we can get into the trap of doing is asking questions to try and make ourselves feel better that aren't good questions. And we all do it, because we all have these questions. But when we get into the trap of saying, why does that person not like me? How does that person at work really feel about me? Asking our very human, frail questions. What happens with that is we go down rabbit holes, and it actually ends up not making us feel better. So part of the trap of tarot is that we use it not for our best outcome. Ultimately, what we want to try and do is to use it for guidance. How best should I interact with this person? How should I show up in a positive way which will bring the most positive intention for all concerned? When we ask these expansive questions, all of a sudden we start to get the most amazing information back that will really transform our experiences. So while angel and oracle decks are useful and supportive, they won't give us that really powerful, clear, objective information that tarot will, if we use it properly. And it does need a bit of responsibility taken. It does need us to think and use our minds. So, if that's not something that you want to engage with, absolutely fine. Nobody has to. And certainly, angel and oracle cards are a bit tarot light. That's how I see it. I have used both. They're tarot light. It's fine. It's good. And certainly when I was reading at my cottage, when people would come for a face-to-face reading, I would give them an angel card at the end of the reading, because it's a lovely way to wrap up, and it's always positive and it's always lovely. But I hope that sheds some light on the difference between tarot and oracle cards. And so again, I want to bring this back to the fact that I have this new book, Tarot the Life Code for a Magician and the Secret of Life, because this is what tarot is all about. The secret of life, helping us to make life better helping us to take more control of our lives and ourselves, because we can't control life. We can't control other people. We can't control what happens, but we can control our response to it, and we can control how we think, how we feel, and what we do creates our experience on the path ahead. And that's what excites me so much about what tarot has to offer, which is a little bit more nuanced, I think. Anyway, I hope this is interesting. They're all really interesting conversations. I'd like to know your experience, why perhaps if you choose angel cards and oracle cards, why that is that you would choose them. And maybe I can persuade you to give tarot another look, because tarot isn't a bad boy. Tarot is your best friend. I will speak to you soon. I'm always here for a reading if you need one. Do please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment down below. Please do. It helps me grow the channel, and it helps us bring this conversation about tarot into the wider world. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.